Alright, what is going on, my dude? So, Carina's Challenge Volume 3 dropped alongside the Eternity of Pain finale. I streamed the entire thing from start to finish 100%, and I had an absolute blast. I loved this content, it was so much fun, and everybody keeps asking me to make a guide for it. So, I went through it all. I feel like I have a very good understanding of the best ways to go about this content. So I've kind of designed this guide in this way, where I have it divided into all 6 objectives for, the Carina's challenges. There are 6 of them, 4 for Thronebreaker and up, 2 for Paragon and up, right? So 6 total for the 4 to 5 gem. So I have like the best champions here for this objective, and then we have ones that can be useful mostly if you want to do it a different way than what I suggest. And then down here we just have a Thanos one, because at the end of the day, Thanos is the boss, and if you can get through the boss easily, that's going to make your life a lot easier, because Thanos is pretty tough, especially without a counter, okay? So we're going to jump right in today, and also we're going to go over every single fight, how to fight them, what you want to do, all that stuff. So it might be a little bit of a longer guide. I might put some timestamps in the video for, the champ breakdowns and for the path breakdowns, all that stuff like that, okay? So we'll see what happens, but huge shout out first and foremost to my good friend Cat Murdoch for doing an absolutely fantastic job making these phenomenal graphics for the community. This is a little up here, nameless cat in the top right, Eternity Pain Acceptance, right? She has Path A and Path B. This is on her Twitter. Go follow her. It's at Cat Murdoch, okay? She also uploads YouTube videos every now and then, so go follow her on YouTube as well. But regardless, okay, she has both paths with all of the nodes and everything. It's gonna make my life so much easier to do this with you guys here today, okay? So let's go ahead and start breaking this down. So first things first, okay? This is going to be based on Carina's challenge. If you're not interested in Carina's challenge, bring your best champs in, right? Bring your Hercules, bring your Cutie Pride, and go through the left side, go through the right side, whatever you want to do, and just use your best champions and blitz right through it. I recommend Hercules, so you can get through just about almost everything, right? If you want to do that, all right? So this is going to be based for Carina, so keep that in mind, please, okay? So, Eternity of Pain Acceptance. It breaks down to 2 paths, Path A and Path B. There is this absolutely lovely thing in this piece of content called the Champion Swap Choice Node. What that means is you can use any champion for the first 4 fights in Path A and Path B, and then you can swap them out, and as long as you finish the quest with 3 champions of that specific tag, well, you're going to get the objective clear, okay? What does this mean? This means that you can use Hercules or Kitty Pride, whatever you want to use for the beginning, and then you pretty much have to do 4 fights and the boss with the tagged champion. So there are ways to make this easier, and we're going to go through, in my opinion, the easiest ways to do this, okay? So before we do that, let's go over the first 4 fights in both sides. Now, in my opinion, Path B is so much easier than Path A. I don't see many people going willingly to the left. I see many people doing a lot of these runs on the right. In fact, I'm going to be telling you 5 out of 6 paths go to the right, 1 go to the left, so you get 100% exploration, right? Kill 2 birds with 1 stone there. But for the most part, I do recommend the right side, okay? So let's go over the right side. We have Dormammu here. He's got some energy resistance. He has a placebo node. Buffed up attacker, right? That seems a little scary because Dormammu has all the buffs and all that stuff, right? But there's also the node where, like, I forgot exactly which one it is, but basically I'm just going to tell you how they work, okay? You have to hit him, you're going to gain buffs, and if you use a heavy attack, right, when you have degen on you, you pretty much put it on him, okay? So Dormammu is a lot easier than he looks, man. He's a lot easier than he looks. And there's also Footloose, so he's going to go unstoppable. He's going to go get the evade node, but that's totally fine. You don't have to worry about that too much. Most any champion could actually get through Dormammu. Most any champion can also kind of get through Bishop. Yes, if you're not good at fighting Bishop, it's going to be a harder fight, but most any champion could get through it. That's the important thing. You are going to have to use a bunch of items for this quest. That is just, there's almost no way around it, man. It's an item sink. It's Carina's challenge. That's what they are, right? But with Bishop here, there's Hurt Locker, there's Shock Tether, and Stunning Immunity, right? So basically, if you're immune to one of his effects, he will go stun immune, and if you don't touch him for like a few seconds, he gets a shock on him, and there's Meltdown, so you have to use special attacks. That's really all there is. At the end of the day, it's a really big Bishop, okay? Now, Crossbones on the right side is the one fight that is pretty hard and you do need a specific counter for. It's got Biohazard, it's also got Bane. Those are the 2 things to really look out for. Also, it's got the node where he hits your block, and that is going to make him regen a little bit. So there are a few ways to go about doing this, right? If you want to use any biohazard counter, that totally works, but there is also buffed up on the defender. That might be inflated ego or extend or whatever the node names are. But basically, he needs 3 buffs on him. Now, there are a few ways to do this. If you make him spam his special one, unfortunately, I find him to be a little too passive for that, though, right? He can get all those fury buffs. Now, if you're using a hero champion, he's going to be getting 2 fury buffs, okay, when he uses a special one. That's going to be a very easy way to do it, but you definitely need a dedicated counter to crossbones. Now, when you are going on the right side, okay, I'm obviously going to suggest a champion to bring in for all of Path B, and we'll get to that, but if you don't have that specific champion, wink wink, who do you think it is, right? I do recommend you bring in a dedicated crossbones counter because you can pretty much get through the other 3 champions with anyone, even if it does cost you some revives, okay? So, up next we have Overseer, and Overseer here has a heal block passive that's annoying, of course, if you're on suicides, unfortunately. And then basically there's an encroaching stun, power alternator, feats of power, and rich get richer. So if you're using a champion with lots of buffs, it's going to make your life a little bit easier here. But at the end of the day, you don't need that. You can bait out his special attacks, right? You do have to keep in mind encroaching stun, so a stun immune champion, preferably with a lot of buffs, wink wink again, right? It's going to be really good for him, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of a really big Overseer with some tough nodes. Now, the left side is not so simple at the end of the day, right? This Hercules is awful. He is so annoying to fight, man. He puts these concussions on you. He also has this infuriate, okay? And also every few seconds he's going to go indestructible and also unblockable, and they pause when you're far away. So that's definitely really annoying for this guy. So do you need a specific counter for Hercules? No. But is it gonna probably take a few tries for you to get a good run on this guy? Yeah. Thankfully, he is the first fight on the path, so you can reset a few times if you want to. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Havoc, man. Havoc is pretty annoying for sure. There's heal block passive here. We can get rid of the heal block right away by hitting his block, or you can, I'm sorry, the heal block is there, but you can get rid of like the poison debuff if you're running suicides by hitting his block initially. There's crumbling armor, but also if you parry, you're going to get an armor up buff. So you can fight him with a lot of champions, but at the same time, if you dex, it's going to remove that armor up, okay? And that's just, what does it do? It gives you a precision or something like that, right? So you got to not really dex, and he has unblockable special attacks, but the more you hit him, you get the charges where you can block the unblockable specials, okay? So he's not the worst Havoc in the game, but at the same time, it is nice to have a pretty solid counter to him. Warlock is the one that you actually need a counter for. The third champion in each one is where you actually need a counter, right? So if you're going left, like, yeah, you can BS your way through Hercules, Havoc, and Nick Fury. You need a counter for Warlock, or else you will not get through. You can unit man your way through Crossbones. You cannot unit man your way through Warlock. He has power shield and crit me with your best shot. Also, guaranteed crits when you intercept him. If you do not have a champion who can nullify his armor up buff or armor break him, he will not take any damage. There is absolutely nothing you can do, okay? So there are some champions in, these 6 objectives here who can fight Warlock, but at the end of the day, when you go to the left, I very highly recommend you bring a champion dedicated for Warlock. That's what I did. That's what I'm going to recommend that you do, okay? And then, of course, Nick Fury. It's a really big Nick Fury. He puts debuffs on you when you block. He puts debuffs on you when you hit his block, and he has burnout. So when he uses a special attack, or whatever he has some node that when he uses a special attack, he doesn't lose power if you have any debuffs on you. So of course you could cheese this with Kitty Pryde or anything, but you can't really do Warlock with Kitty Pryde, and then if you don't have an armor break champion in your objectives, then it's going to be a whole big thing, right? So that's why I'm saying I recommend going to the right. But anyway, Nick Fury, right? There are definitely a lot of decent counters to this guy. It's recommended you don't run suicides, right? Again, unless you are using a kitty, or actually Rocket Raccoon was pretty good. I made a video like that. But he's not too bad once you get used to fighting him. You just kind of want to avoid blocking and hitting his block. So it's a big Nick Fury, but you can get through him. So those are the first initial paths, okay? Now we're going to go over the 2 sides that we're actually going to be using the objective champions for. Let's go over the left side first, because this side is just so much worse than the right side, and we're going to be focusing on the right side throughout the majority of the video here. So, Mcoc. True lies, so you can't, get around his auto block, right? Light him up, power from afar, down and out on the brink. Obstinate Charge, and Tranquility. I don't really know what all those do by reading the names, but I can tell you how Mcoc works. So essentially, man, power from afar is kind of obvious. He goes away, he gains the power buff, right? If you hit his block 6 times, he's going to go unblockable. You also can't really stun him, or else he goes like kind of stun immune. You can like reparry for it though, but of course the block damage is going to be very high here. If you put a shock or an incinerate on him, you are actually going to reduce the ability accuracy of his evade effect, or his auto block effects by a decent bit. And by a decent bit, I mean by all the way, right? So there aren't too many champions in the objectives that are going to be able to have that shock or incinerate, unfortunately, right? But there is a champion in one of the objectives who can cheese this guy pretty darn good, and his name is Miles Morales. Now, I don't like using Miles. I really don't enjoy the champion. I didn't have the most fun doing it, but oh my god, it was like I was playing Tetris. That's how easy it was. You make the guy go unblockable, you bait his special ones, and you just kind of tap the screen a little bit, and he'll go down eventually, right? So yeah, the thing with Mcoc is it's definitely possible to do with a lot of champions, but he's going to be very annoying. He has an annoying passive AI. You don't really want to hit his block. He goes unblockable, drains your power every 20 seconds, but at the end of the day, he's not the worst. Blade, however, is the worst. This guy sucks. He has unblockable specials, Plagued Mind, so he's going to be draining your power every 25 seconds, something like that. Destructive feedback, so like if you take a hit on the block while he has the shield up, you kind of die. Surge Protector, man, so you hit this guy like, what, 8 times? He throws his special one, and he still has like the same amount of power. Now, he also has unblockable special attacks, so there is a certain Spider-Verse character, hint, 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 who can just cheese this entire fight. Just miss the entire special 1, miss the entire special 2. Makes life pretty darn easy. There are a few Spider-Verse champions who can do that, right? The worst thing about Blade here is his AI. I just feel like there are a few champions in this Eternity of Pain gauntlet here where the AI is just so not good. They get very passive and they get very annoying to fight. Blade is one of them, Crossbones is one of them, Mcoc is one of them. Those are the 3 that really, also Icarus, those are the 4 that really stand out to me in that regard, man. And Blade, he kind of like scoots all over, he hits you with a light attack randomly, he's one of those, man. So he's not fun to fight, he can be an absolute revive sink, but at the end of the day, you can technically kind of do him with anyone. You know, at the end of the day, right, the 4 champions on both sides here after the objectives, you can unit man your way through with anyone, you know? Warlock and Crossbones, really not recommended. But these 8 champions after the objectives, it seems like they were put here for a reason, because you can, you know? Terrax. It's just a big Terrax, man. At the end of the day, it's a big Terrax. It's got ebb and flow intercept. It's got dash vulnerability. It's got special delivery, so you got to use your special ones ideally. Powerful from afar. And it's got this node where if he's below a bar of power, you take burst damage until he goes above a bar of power, which is a little annoying. And it also has an unstoppable heavy attack, which can definitely get you. Now, there is a node where the more debuffs that you have on him, you reduce the damage that you take, you know, from the rock field, also from the special delivery. Again, you can really do him with a lot of champions, but he is probably going to cost some items. He's a big Terrax, and he's kind of a bit of an item sink, so it definitely is going to suck to fight him a few times if you go left a few times. But yeah, he's not that bad at the end of the day. Like I said, he has a bunch of nodes that are going to be increasing your attack, which is nice. But then Dragon Dude, oh my god, man. If you don't have a counter for Dragon Dude, like I said, you can do it with anyone, but oh my god, you're not going to have a fun time. This guy, you can't really parry him, or else you get an armor rig on you, right? He has true focus, so you can't miss or evade. Buff toggle unstoppable, so he goes unstoppable every 6 seconds or so. Escalating assault, so he goes unblockable every few seconds ago. And divine barrier, so he goes immune to nullify every like 10 seconds or so. So this guy is very overtuned as a defender. He's very, 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 very tough. So it's really recommended that you have a counter for this guy, and there are only a few like really good ones here that we'll go over, okay? So that is the left side. The right side, I fought this 5 times yesterday. I got these fights down to a science, let me tell you, okay? So, Kraven. Kraven looks a lot worse than he actually is. Outside in, Riot, Matador, return policy, and defective defense. So, effective defense, you can't really parry or block too much, or else you're going to get the disorient on you. Not the biggest deal. The hard thing about him is that he does start unblockable, okay? Now, when you knock him down with a special attack, right? He's going to go unstoppable. The only way to get rid of the unstoppable is to hit him with a heavy attack. Now, when he uses his special one, you kind of have to use his special attack through the trap, and there's Matador. So he uses the special, you will be at a special, okay? So keep that in mind. One really great way to go about doing this, Craven, is to nullify or fate seal or something of that sorts to his unblockable buff, and then he won't gain the unstoppable, he won't gain the unblockable for the rest of the fight. Is that a bug? Maybe. That's how it was working yesterday. There are a lot of Mystic champions who can do this and get around him very, very nicely, okay? So the big key, though, to fighting Craven anywhere, by the way, is you just want to push him to special 2. Now, he does have a node where when you nullify his buffs, he gains a bar of power. This helps you because you can push him to special 2 and you can go ahead and just kind of bait it out. Now, when you're too far away from him for too long, you're going to get rooted. So you kind of, when he throws a special, you kind of want to like stand your guard and just stay still a little bit, let him come a little bit closer, let the root timer go away, and then dash out and then go and encounter and kind of repeat. He will go down. You literally can do Craven with anybody, like no exaggeration. But he's going to probably take a little bit of practice until you get used to him. You know, I did solo him one time toward the end. You know, like as you go through it, you get more comfortable. And that's another reason why I recommend going to the same side 5 times, because you can get more comfortable doing these fights as you go along. Up next, we have Scorpion. Scorpion looks a lot more dangerous than he is, in my opinion. A lot of people were like, how do you do this on Scorpion? I don't understand how you just swing the Scorpion. How do you fight Scorpion? So Scorpion has a lot of nodes, man. And like I said, I think he looks a lot more dangerous than he is. But basically, you parry and you gain a power gain, right? If you use like 2 special attacks quickly in a row, you are going to gain a Petrify. It's going to make him heal a little bit, but it's also going to reverse that power gain. If you get to 0 power, you are going to die, pretty much, right? You're going to take so much damage, you're pretty much going to die. Also, when you pass, this is where it gets a little crazy. When you pass a bar of power, you are going to gain a timer where you have to use a special attack or else you lose like half your health, right? So the way to fight Scorpion, the most efficient way, 2 ways. 1, you use somebody like Ghost, for example, and you nuke him before anything matters. Cosmic Ghost Rider, you nuke him before anything matters. You spend 2 revives, you call it a day. The other way to fight him is to get to special 3, take your 50% burst damage, and just kill him from there. Now, he has a node where if you do a crit on him, you're going to increase your combo meter by 2 instead of 1, or it might be 3. So if you get to 20, right, he's not going to get a Scorpion sense. That's going to get around his evade. He also has the node where you have to knock him down, and then you'll do your damage because you're going to have your damage reduction before you knock him down. He has a lot going on, but the more you fight him, the more comfortable you get. There are a lot of really good Scorpion counters in these objectives, and we will go over those. Up next, we have Enquiries. This guy, he sucks a little bit. He's a little hard to fight, especially if you don't know what to do. You don't want to use light attacks against this guy unless you're using a Mystic champion. You don't want to parry this guy unless you're using a champion with slow. Okay? There are good options in pretty much every single one here, okay? And we will go over that. But he has, you know, Mighty Charge. He's going to get rid of the debuffs you put on him. He has Special Burst Lockdown. He's going to put an Armor Break and a Heal Block on you every time he uses a special attack. But it's very, very easy to counter his special 1. The spacing, you're going to be a pro at fighting Enquiries by the time you're done with this, countering a special 1. You can also counter his heavy attack. There's a lot of ways you can do that. Now, when you hit him with a medium attack, he's going to put a power detonation debuff on you or something like, whatever it is, something like that. You have to use a special attack. You have to use your power, get rid of your power, or else you're going to take a burst of damage. So you have to keep that in mind when you fight him, where you have to either be ready to use a special attack, because you can't really use light attacks unless you're using a Mystic. So he has a lot going on, but he's not too bad once you get used to him. He's just annoying more than anything. Then we have Penny, man. Penny doesn't really have any nodes. She has Close Encounter, Ticking Time Bomb, and some Agile Reversal node that honestly I couldn't even tell you what it does. It like reduces the time that you can have her stunned. Who cares, right? Not a big deal. It's a really big Penny Parker. She sucks. That's all it is. But she's just Penny. She's Penny like she's Penny everywhere. Plus Close Encounters, man. You can get her down with just about anyone. It's not going to be super fun, but there are some decent Penny counters here. We will go over them. So that is the entire Eternity of Pain. I guess we can kind of go over Thanos as well. Let's go over how to fight Thanos. So Thanos has 3 phases, and honestly, I guess he has 4 phases. The first 5%, he does nothing. He does nothing going on. You just hit him. You hit him until he gets to 95%. At this point, you have to knock him down with a heavy attack or a special attack. There are going to be champions who are better for this fight solely because they have a longer reach on their heavy, or they have power gain to use special attacks. You cannot hit him while he has his special one shield up, or else you take a lot of damage. You also can't stun him, or else you get stun reflected. So you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to hit him with a special attack or use your heavy attack, right? Counter his heavy with your heavy. And you have to do that to get his shield down, hit him, bait his special one, repeat till he gets to about 65% health. Then he's going to reverse your controls. You can remove, that's all he does. You can remove the reverse controls by doing a light ending combo. However, if you keep them, which I recommend, but you don't need to, just go right in with the light ending combo, okay? If you keep them, you have increased base attack, which is going to be really nice for getting through the fight, okay? So I always kept the reverse controls for the most part. When he uses his special 2 here, he's going to send these like bubbles at you. You have to dex the orange one, okay? Keep that in mind. When he gets below 40% health, he goes stun immune. And then the final 30%, awful. He's going to be indestructible, and you have to intercept him. He's also unstoppable at first. You will only do damage when you intercept. When you intercept, you will get a safeguard, making his next hit only hit by 20%. If you're a hashtag Avenger champion, it will be 15% every time. So Avengers are going to be really good against him there for the final 30%. But you have to pretty much intercept special 3 after you intercept to do damage. It's definitely very tough. There is a certain champion who can completely cheese the entire fight. We will go over that when we go over it. But yeah, that's basically Thanos, man. He's rough. He's rough. He's supposed to be rough. He's one of the biggest bosses in the game right now. All right. So we just did 20 minutes of going over how to fight every champion in Eternity of Pain. I do hope that helped you if you needed that. But now we're going to go over these guys. This is why we're here. The Eternity of Pain objectives, okay, for Carina's Challenge Volume 3. So, Thunderbolts, Spiders, Dimensional Beings, A-Force, Robots, Mutants. Do you think it's a coincidence that all of these kind of fit into these classes? Isn't that interesting? I wonder if that's a coincidence. I really do wonder. So, we'll start with Thunderbolts. I thought Thunderbolts was going to be a lot harder than it was. It turns out it was very, very simple in my opinion, okay? Granted, I did it last, I believe, but still. These are the Thunderbolts. Again, credit to Cat Murdoch for making these wonderful graphics that are a little bit too blurry here because I had to zoom in. So, there are a lot of champions in here. Unfortunately, some of them aren't going to be too great for this, right? I love me some Asian Venom, but at the end of the day, some of them are not going to be too great for this stuff, There are certainly a bunch of viable champions here, and I do absolutely recommend you go towards the right side, and this is the team that I do recommend you use. The right side with Juggernaut, Crossbones, and Ghost, okay? Now, when it comes to the right side, here we go, look at that. Look how prepared I am, guys. We got everything going on. We got all the icons here. By the way, if I haven't said it, this is how this list is going to be, right? The best options is what I recommend, but then also useful options for stuff maybe if you want to take things in a different way, okay? So, Juggernaut for Kraven, so good for Kraven, right? When it comes to Scorpion, Ghost is so good for Scorpion, dude. Ghost is so good for Scorpion. When it comes to Icarus, Crossbones was actually really good for Icarus, man. He does need to be awakened at a decent enough sig because every time Icarus uses his special one, he's going to put the 2 debuffs on you, right? You're going to purify them, gain Furies. Now, even if you're not awakened, he'll still be okay, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't need to be awakened to get your defensive ability accuracy reduction, okay? And Icarus is a hero. So every time you go into Overrun, you're going to gain your 3 Furies. Every time you use a special 1, you're going to gain your 2 Furies. He has a very easy to counter special 1, allowing you to keep your Furies paused. And what you can do with this is you can do full 5-hit combos and ignore his stupid light attack, giving him the Energize so that he's going to kill you and all this fun stuff, right? Also, you're going to be able to shrug off the power debuff that he puts on you as well. So Crossbones, very, very solid for Icarus. Also, really solid for Penny Parker. Crossbones was great for Penny Parker. So was Juggernaut. Juggernaut was low-key an MVP of this entire quest. He's so good. Okay? Now, for the useful champions here as well, we actually do have Man-Thing, Red Hulk, and Hawkeye. Man-Thing, because if you are a crazy guy and you want to go to the left side, right? Man-Thing works for Terrax, and he also works for Warlock, okay? He's going to nullify an armor break, that armor up buff on Warlock. He's going to be able to get the guaranteed crits. He's going to be okay for Warlock. He's going to be okay for Terrax. He's got the guaranteed crits, all that fun stuff, right? Again, I don't recommend you do it this way, but that's just, it's definitely a possibility if you don't have the champions I'm suggesting. On top of that, Red Hulk. Red Hulk is just a very solid champion in this pool. He's going to be decent for like literally every single champion up here, which is kind of crazy. Like he's just going to be like decent for them, especially Scorpion. He can solo Scorpion. He can be decent against Penny. He can be decent against the other two champions as well. Hawkeye got that slow debuff for what's his face for Scorpion up there. It's definitely going to be nice to counter that evade the entire time. Plus he has some nice damage as well. Definitely some very solid underrated damage from Hawkeye. Okay, when it comes to Thanos, Juggernaut is just nuts for the entire thing. He's so freaking good for the entire thing, man. He is very good for Thanos, man. Every phase. For the final phase, you do have to get to the special 3 so that you won't lose your unstoppable, but he's so good once you get there, man. He's so good once you get there. Okay, so this is certainly what I recommend for the objectives. Now for the first 4 fights, I recommend that you use Hercules for all 4. Yes, even Crossbones. I do. Okay, could you use Ghost for Crossbones? Yeah, I don't recommend it, man. It'll take you like 2 to 3 revives, man, and it'll save you so many headaches. I'm telling you, when you're doing this 6 times, farm a few extra revives and just go in and get it done. All right, Hercules actually works really well for Dormammu. He works great for Bishop. It's just a big Bishop, and he works very well for Overseer. I soloed Dormammu many times. I soloed Bishop a bunch of times. I think I soloed Overseer once. He just kind of gets you with the guaranteed damage he has, man. Because when you parry him, you try to nullify him, and he's immune to that. You'll take the retaliation damage. So you just do definitely take some damage against Overseer. And I think I almost soloed Crossbones once, but I didn't quite get it down with Hercules. But again, man, just mindlessly going through it with Hercules is going to be so much easier than using those champions for this year, right? You know, but listen, if you don't have Hercules, all right, and you're looking for something else to kind of do that, I still recommend you bring in a counter for Crossbones, okay, and then you can use Juggernaut for Dormammu. You can use Ghost for Bishop. You can use Juggernaut. No, yeah, don't use Juggernaut for Overseer. You can use Ghost for Overseer. You can use Crossbones for Overseer, right? But that is how I'm going to recommend you do this. Again, how you actually build out this path is going to be based on your roster, okay? But this is just what I recommend, all right? So let's keep it moving over here with these spiders. Now the spiders, look at that. Right away, jumping into the left side. This is what I recommend here. Okay, we actually got 4 up here because it's going to kind of depend on what you value here. So, Spidey 2099 is the best option for Thanos. It's not even remotely close. The fight is over before it begins. I finished at a full yellow bar, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So, for the spectacular spiders, okay, this is what we're working with, guys. You got Penny Parker, Spider-Gwen, Piggy, Miles, OG Spider. Maybe he'll be good for this in a few months. Starkey, Stealthy, Spidey Supreme isn't really out yet for most people. Sim Spidey, eh. And then you got Spidey 2099. Funny enough, I went for Sim Spidey, but he's the only one here who can fight. Well, I guess OG Spidey can too, but he's the only decent enough champion here who can fight Warlock with the armor break. Now, of course, I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you bring a Warlock counter when you go to the left with these champions. So Spidey for the boss, for sure, dude. Miles and Gwen, they do similar things. They are both going to cheese the unblockable on Mcoc and on Blade. Miles does it easier. Spider-Gwen is also, however, a decent option for Dragon Man, who is a very tough fight. Okay? So we can get this guy out of here now. And Stealthy was decent enough for Terrax, man. He's okay for it. He's not the best for it, but he can, he can do really well with the ebb and flow intercept because he can pause the Fury. That's really, really nice. With the dash vulnerability, you can keep the fight going and you can keep doing damage. Dash back, light intercept, all that fun stuff, right? Get the vulnerability on him, the fragility on him, whatever it's called, and do some damage. It's kind of like the best of a bad situation there. If you don't have stealthy or if you don't like stealthy, you can use Starkey for that, right? But stealthy was absolutely amazing for Dragon Man because he's got the slow, right? He has the slow debuff. It's going to be so good for Dragon Man. That's who I ended up using. He was very, very useful for Dragon Man. So what I did was I went Spidey 2099, Stealthy, and Miles. That is what I recommend you do. And for the left side in the beginning, I actually brought Cosmic Ghost Rider, and I used him for Warlock, Nick Fury, and Havoc, and a little bit of Hercules. I used Stealthy for the majority of Hercules, and I'll actually tag teamed it with CGR, really. But then I used Havoc. The strategy for using CGR against Havoc is you want to essentially build to your special 3. You want to do a medium ending combo. You want to get the armor up from the node. You want to dex. You want to do a heavy attack into special 3 while Havoc is stunned and you have the armor up on and he's at low-ish power. You want to go and immediately do a light ending combo to get back up to a special 3. Do another medium ending combo, dex, get the armor up, heavy into special 3 again, and repeat that over and over and over. The strat with Warlock is you want to intercept and use special 2, and that's it. Guaranteed crits. You're going to get the armor break. It's power shield. You're going to have a good time. Then with Nick Fury, man. Nick Fury is a bit interesting. Did I solo him with CGR? I think it was like a 2-shot, but like I went in and I died like in like a little bit, but then I went in again. Or I think I went in with suicides on, turned them off, went in, and then pretty much soloed. Yeah, so pretty much, man, my suggestion for using CGR for Fury is you can check out Slayer of Gods rotation video, but me, what I did, I kind of just managed my judgments and I kind of just got the guy down after a while, and CGR just does the fight pretty well. At the same time, you can use Stealthy for the fight, you can use Starkey for the fight. He's just a big Nick Fury at the end of the day, and you don't really want to block or hit his block, so yeah, that is what I suggest for the left side with the spiders. Again, Miles completely cheeses Blade and also Mcoc. Terrax can be done with anybody. It's just going to cost some items. Dragon Man is one to look out for. Spidey 2099 does work. Stealthy works. Gwen could work if you bring Gwen instead of Miles. Even Starkey could be kind of decent just for damage. And then for useful here, I put in Piggy just because Piggy's got a decent amount of damage and no one's really immune to power stings here. So could he be good if he is your best option here? Gonna be honest, I forgot what I was saying. I got a message from my buddy Vega and I went to respond and I completely lost my train of thought. So Vega, if you're watching, that's your fault, man. Was I saying something about Piggy? Say something about Piggy? Yeah, so Piggy could be decent. Again, I do suggest that this is the one that you go on the left side with. If you want to go on the right side, you absolutely could. It's going to be a breeze, right? Stealthy is going to make an absolute joke out of Kraven. He's going to be fine for Scorpion. So is, what's his face? Starkey will be okay for Scorpion, right? Spider-Gwen will be okay for Scorpion with the slow. For Icarus, you can use Stealthy. You can use Spider-Gwen. For Penny Parker, you can use anybody because she's just a big Penny Parker, right? So that's going to be simple on the right side, and you bring Hercules in for the first 4. But again, this is the one that I feel like, Miles cheeses 2 of these fights. You unit man your way through Terrax, and then you kind of have a good counter for Dragon Man. It just kind of seems like the no-brainer. And if you have CGR, you bring him in for the first half. So this seems like the time to go to the left side, in my opinion, okay? Up next, we have the Dimensional Beings. So this one, man, it seems kind of obvious who the best options are here. I mean, we got CGR, Gallon, and a Hood. Now, once Spot is more readily available, maybe Spot will come in and be really good for this. Magic, a little too squishy for me. I love Ghost Rider, but he's not going to be great here. Dormammu, Mephisto, Morningstar, Purgatory, not going to be the best here. America Chavez, maybe could have some play, but at the end of the day, I mean, like, she just doesn't hold a candle to CGR, Gallon, or Hood, you know? So I do recommend you use them, but America could be potentially decent. Magic could be potentially decent. I think, you know, it's kind of obvious here. The best options for dimensional beings, the right side. Guys, do not go on the left side for this, because there's a Blade. You will not enjoy it. That was one of the objectives for Blade, and people lost their minds. They were like, why would this be an objective, man? People were not happy about that. Don't do it to yourself again. Don't go to the left with this. Go to the right. It's an absolute freaking breeze, dude. It is an absolute breeze. You use CGR or Hood for Craven. You use CGR for Scorpion. You use the Hood for Icarus. You don't have to worry about anything. He's a Mystic champion, right? And then you have, for Penny Parker, you have Gallon. Come on. Go to the right side here, especially if you have these champions. When it comes to useful, I put Magic with the question mark. She's a little squishy. When it comes to Thanos here, CGR could solo it. I believe MSD soloed a CGR. Hood is actually who I use for the most part. I liked Hood for it. Hood did really well for me. I used Gallon a little bit as well. Was this the first one I did? The second one I did? I don't even remember, but I was still like getting my feet wet with this Thanos. And just really feeling out the best ways to fight him. So I was kind of just going about it bit by bit. And yeah, I liked Hood for the final 30%, CGR for the majority of it for the big damage, you know? All right, that is the dimensional beings. Pretty straightforward, that one, right? A-Force. This one's a little bit tougher, a little bit harder to crack the code on this one, right? But this is who I think is the best. For the right side, She-Hulk, Captain Marvel movie, and Scarlet Witch. Let's take a look at the A-Force up here. So there are some good champions and there are some not so good champions here. We have Captain Marvel movie, which of course is, you know, going to be a decent champion for this. We have OG Captain Marvel. We have Ms. Marvel. And we have Kamala Khan. Sorry, Sweeta. Then we also have Guardian, who could be okay. He was a good champion. I just don't see him doing too much in this quest. We have Rogue, again, a champion I like a lot. I think she's really good. I just don't really see her doing too much in this specific quest, really. Sasquatch, again, I think he's really good. I just don't really see him doing too much in this quest. Maybe for Icarus, he could be good because of being a Mystic. She-Hulk, hard carried, dude. She-Hulk, hard carried. And then you have both Scarlet Witches. They both do okay here. I went with Sigil Witch here. That's who I used. I used the Sigil Witch, but I don't love using her too much, and OG Scarlet Witch kind of disappointed me a little bit. So what I have going on here, though, is I have, for Craven, I use Sigil Witch, okay, because you can nullify his buffs on parry, and it makes life a little bit easier that way, right? So that's why I do recommend Scarlet Witch either, but Sigil Witch more so because you got that nullification control. For Scorpion, once I got in the rhythm of figuring out what to do with She-Hulk, oh my god, dude, like, she was so good. Basically, with his special 1, you want to build your way up to special 3, right? Like I said, build your way to special 3. Don't use your specials. Just get up to special 3. Hold it there, take your burst of damage, and then it's going to take a little bit of time to get the spacing down, but what you can do is you can continually bait his special 1, counter with a heavy attack, put the slow on him, dash in, attack him, bait his special 1, counter with a heavy attack, and you can keep going like that. Eventually your damage is going to get very, very high. She-Hulk, very solid for Scorpion once you figure out that loop. It is not easy to do. If you prefer going in with Captain Marvel movie against him, that's totally fine. You can go for a big special 2. There's nothing wrong with that. For Icarus, of course, you have 3 Mystics on the board. You have Sasquatch and both Scarlet Witches. I went in with Sigil Witch for a little bit. Or did I go in with Scarlet Witch for a little bit? I don't really remember. I hated both of them for the fight. I didn't like it. They both could do it. They have both soloed the fight. There are solos on YouTube. They can do it. I loved She-Hulk for this fight. When you parry Icarus, he's going to go unstoppable. Lo and behold, She-Hulk is an amazing unstoppable counter because when she heavies through unstoppable, she nullifies it, whether it's passive or active. So good. You can avoid the light attacks. You can parry at will. It doesn't really matter. You have to be a little cautious because he can go unblockable if you parry too fast, but you can very easily counter his special 1, right, with your heavy attack. The taunt is going to be so great for him because he's a little bit passive. You know, that's going to be a little bit annoying for sure. But She-Hulk was an absolute MVP for Icarus for me, right? I tried doing it with Scarlet Witch. I hated it. When I went She-Hulk, loved it. Penny Captain Marvel movie is okay for Penny. There was the Kree objective, right, that she was good for back in the day. Yeah, so she was totally fine for that, man. But where Captain Marvel movie really shined for me, dude, was down here on Thanos, dude. All three of them were decent. You know, Scarlet Witch is the Avenger for the last 30%. She-Hulk can get around the Unstoppable for the last 30%. But for the first bit, dude, oh my god. The way that you play Captain Marvel is you get them in the corner and you heavy attack until you can't, right? So with Thanos, he will not use a special attack until he reaches his highest bit. So you can get into binary ignition, get him in the corner, and just heavy. You're gonna have a great time doing this, man. She was really good for this for the first 70%. And then I switched to the other two champions and they did really great. So they tag team Thanos really well. For useful champions here, I put in a question mark Guardian, a question mark Sassy. Like, could Guardian theoretically be good for Bishop? Yeah, that's like, you know, one of those things like, yeah, but that's really it though, because like, who you gonna use him for down here? No one really, right? So you're better off bringing in a better Bishop counter, you know? You're better off bringing in a Crossbones counter. You have to bring in a Crossbones counter, man. You know, like, look, let's look at this. You can use She-Hulk for Dormammu. That's actually what I did. It was my first run before I decided to use Hercules for everything. I used She-Hulk for Dormammu. I used Hercules for Bishop. And then I used Hercules for Crossbones and what's his face, an Overseer, man. You know, you're gonna need that Crossbones counter. Hercules does work, but you can use She-Hulk for Overseer. You could use She-Hulk for Bishop, you know, or you can use Captain Marvel movie. But yeah, you need the Crossbones counter. I keep saying it. Do not go in without the Crossbones counter. Do not go in without. I had to reset a path. I had to go and I got to Crossbones. I had to start over on a path because I didn't have a good one. I did not have a good one. Okay. Up next, we have robots. There are a lot of really good robots in the game, and some of them are better for this than others. In my opinion, the best on, yes, say it with me, the right side. Dragon Man, Ultron, Omega Sentinel, and Warlock. I put Warlock here as well. Now, Warlock is going to be better for the left side, okay? But the right side, dude, Dragon Man, holy freaking crap. Talk about an MVP. He was so good and so impressive. I was so happy to have him at rank 4 for this. I was so happy. Dragon Man was absolutely incredible for Kraven. He has a very underutilized slow debuff on his special one that essentially turned off the Unstoppable for Kraven. I soloed Kraven with him on the first try. Crazy, man. I didn't expect to. I was like, we'll throw Dragon Man in. He's got the slow debuff. Maybe he'll be good. You know, crazy good for it, man. For Scorpion, I used Omega Sentinel. Basically, you build to special 3 and you stay there, and any poisons he puts on you is going to heal you, and then you just kind of like take it slow a little bit, right? And just get him down bit by bit. If he doesn't have his auto block evade thingy up, right, his Scorpion sense, you go ham, you hit him. Ideally, you stay aggressive with him. If you have your 10 armor rep buffs, you can let him evade. You're going to auto block him. You can go right into a heavy attack to knock him down, and then build up to your 20 combo so you can, you know, keep going. But yeah, man, Omega Sentinel, very solid for Scorpion. Very, very solid. When it comes to Icarus, Dragon Man, so good, dude. He's Mystic, you can hit him freely, and if you parry him, guess what? The special one has a slow debuff, so you can get around the Unstoppable, and you'll be unblockable for most of the fight every time you knock him down. So good, man. Get him in the corner, it doesn't even matter. And on top of that, if that wasn't enough, every time Icarus uses a special one, he's going to put an armor break on you, and when Dragon Man gets an armor break on him, he degens the opponent. It's not game-changing degen. These guys have 1,000,000 health each. You're not going to really notice it, but still, man, how cool is that? He's so good for the fight. Finally, Penny. I use Ultron because that's who I use for the objective. Ultron can solo the fight. I did okay with Ultron. Dragon Man was also okay. You knock her down and you go unblockable, so he's going to be okay. And then I didn't really use Omega Sentinel for her much. Warlock is here as just a really good option, but like I said, better for the left side, and we'll go over that briefly, right? There are some other good robots as well here for usefulness, right? What do we got going on? I put Nebula, and the reason why we got Nebula here is because on the left side, Dragon Man is kind of shut down a bit. He is a robot, Dragon Man's a robot, so if you do take the left with the robots here, you know, Mcoc and Blade are going to be annoying with the robots, man. Like, I wouldn't want to fight them with the robots, dude. Terrax, Dragon Man, Dragon Dude, he will do pretty well for, okay? But then you got this over here, right? On the left side, right? So you got Hercules, you got Havoc, you got Nick Fury. You can get through those with the robots. And then for Warlock, you can use Warlock, because Warlock is good. He's got the armor break on the special too. He's the only robot here who can really do that fight. So you don't have to worry about bringing a dedicated Warlock counter if you do go to the left. And you could bring a different counter for the other fights. You can bring Hercules for Havoc and Nick Fury if you really want to, or you can bring Kitty Pryde for them, whatever you want to do, right? That's what you can do. So there are definitely a few options here for you when it comes to the robots, but again, I do recommend going to the right side with the team of Dragon Man, Ultron, and Omega Sentinel. It was quite simple. Could Nimrod be useful as well? Potentially. I do believe Nimrod is actually decent for Crossbones, so that's definitely something to keep in mind, okay? So yeah, you always need that Crossbones counter, and Nimrod could be decent for it, so maybe he should be up here. He should be up here. He's very, very good. He's probably the best robot on this list, and he's not on it, you know? But these guys are definitely just a little bit better overall. So, for this quest, not overall. So, Mutants. This one was probably the easiest one, okay? And I'm going to suggest a different team than what I used. Jugs. Oh my god, so good. Red Magneto, Scarlet Witch, and Omega Red. So, when we're looking at the mutants, okay, you're probably saying, Jugs, what the hell? He's not a mutant. First of all, anything's possible, right? Jot that down. So, Juggernaut, Red Magneto, White Magneto, Omega Red, Professor X. All 5 of those champs, gonna be very useful for this. Scarlet Witch also could be useful. Toad could be useful for Nick Fury on the left. But that's before the choice node, you might as well bring someone else, right? Rogue, decent. Sabretooth, decent. Sauron, decent enough. Good. He's actually a Crossbones counter. How crazy is that, man? This is gotta be the easiest one, in my opinion. It's gotta be the easiest one, all right? So, I didn't bring Jugs for this. And because I did this one before I did the Thunderbolt quest, where I discovered the power of Jugs. And I was like, wow, I love this champion now. He was very, very much so impressed me during this stream the other day. So, anyway, point is, right? We kind of went over how Juggernaut kind of does a lot of things in this quest, right? So good for Kraven, right? Then you got Red frickin' Magneto for Scorpion. Get to the special 3. I'm going to tell you, ready for the strat? Get a little lucky so you don't take the burst damage, and then go for, build up your prowess, knock him down, go for the special 3. This is really important. You have to get a little lucky so that you don't take the burst damage. 30% chance that you take burst damage, 70% chance you don't. So hopefully you don't, and then you just do it again, and then he dies. It might take you a revive or 2. It's literally going to be a little bit based on RNG, but at the end of the day, Magneto kind of turns the fight off. It just makes life so much easier. White Magneto also will kind of turn the fight off, but Red Magneto is just going to be a lot easier for it, man. When it comes to Icarus, Juggernaut doesn't really work because of the node. I actually used Omega Red for Icarus, and it was totally fine. It was totally fine. I had Suicides on at the moment. It was totally fine. But also, like I said, Scarlet Witch absolutely works. I don't love her for it. It's actually who I brought for that, and I pivoted to Omega Red. So I used Omega Red for Kraven, and I pivoted away when I was going to use Scarlet Witch for Icarus. I just didn't like her much for it. She came in handy for Thanos a bit, but I actually ended up pivoting to Omega Red there as well. Omega Red was really, really good for this. It's just that Juggernaut is really good. In fact, honestly, man, I'd probably recommend here a team of Juggernaut, Red Magneto, and Omega Red. Like, the only big benefit that Scarlet Witch has for Icarus is that you can really just ignore it all, and you can do 5-hit combos. But at the end of the day, you can do that with Juggernaut too. You just won't have your unstoppable, and you won't have your damage there, right? You get a little weakness on you. So I wouldn't really recommend it. But yeah, there's really, as you can see, there are many avenues here for this one. It kind of depends on what you want to do. For Penny, you can use Magneto. You can use Omega Red. You want to stay close and just do some things. You can even use Juggernaut a bit. like I said, this one is rather simple compared to the other ones. Are there even any ones useful that I left out? Yeah, all of them. Like, all of them, man. White Magneto, Professor X. I put Scarlet Witch down here again because, I mean, I think I put her up there after I realized that, all right, she is useful. She's one of the best ones for it. White Magneto, again, he's got that passive, you know, got the passive stun. Could definitely be useful for certain things. Red Magneto is just so busted, you know. Professor X, he could probably do some cheesy things with the power back boost. I'm sure he could be pretty decent for some things, for sure. He could turn off the evade on Scorpion, which could totally be very, very nice. But I mean, Red Magneto, guys, it's just a better option. If you don't have Red Magneto, yeah, that could work. But Red Magneto is just a better option at the end of the day, right? If you want to take this team on the left side, you totally could. I don't really see a reason to. You can use White Magneto would be good for Mcoc. That's why I have here. White Magneto would be good for Mcoc. Omega Red works for Blade. That's who I used in the Eternity of Pain boss rush back in the day. You can totally use like Scarlet Witch or Omega Red for Terrax, I guess. Or Professor X works, I guess. And then for Dragon Man, you can use Red Magneto and put Pacify on and pray to the RNG gods. It just seems like a headache. Do you see how it just seems like a headache compared to the right side? That's why I keep recommending the right side, man. It's a guide. I'm trying to guide you to the best way to do this. And the best way to do it is to go through the right side 5 times with Hercules doing the first 4 fights. In my opinion, it's just the best way to do it. It's just, in my opinion, it's just the best way. I didn't put Thanos options down here. Why am I such a silly gooberhead? Oh, I did. You know what I didn't do? I didn't do that. Dragon Man. Yeah. Juggernaut Man, so good for Thanos. Dragon Man, amazing for Thanos, dude. Really amazing. Also, Omega Sentinel was really good. Because you can stay really aggressive. You can stay really aggressive, so you don't have to worry about anything. So that's really, really solid. This right here is my list, my guide. If you want to take a screenshot, you got the whole thing in there. You got the Honse above Nameless Thanos' face there. Huge shout out to Cat Murdoch again for providing all of these graphics, you know, for making this this guide, making this a little bit easier. It's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I'll put some timestamps in here, I think. But yeah, this is again, man, look at the best options up top. It's pretty much what I did. That's what I'm going to recommend that you do. And of course, you know, the swap-ins, right? Swap-ins. Maybe I'll do this real quick. That's beautiful, right? You have the swap down there as well. Hercules for the Mall Man, CGR for the spiders on the left side. This is what I recommend you do. This is what I pretty much did. It worked out really, really well. The only regret that I have is not bringing in Juggernaut for the mutants. It's literally the only regret that I have. Now, I do want to say there is a way for you to do multiple objectives at once. I don't recommend that you do this, okay? You can just do an all jugs run with the one champ. Again, you know, you could have Hercules and then swap mid. I don't recommend that you do this, but you could do it because, you know, you're going to fit the 2 objectives there. I believe you can also have Scarlet Witch and Rogue, and that fits these 2 as well. You could kill 2 birds with 1 stone on one of them. I personally find it easier just to do your 6 runs and have 3 champions to go through. That's how I recommend it. I don't recommend you do a full Scarlet Witch and Rogue run. I just don't recommend it, man. Could you? Absolutely. Cam uploaded to stream, I believe, on Thursday, January 19th. If you want to check that out, okay? If you want to check that out, he did it. If you want to make that decision for yourself, if you want to do a double, you can, but I don't recommend it. I already gave Cam crap about that earlier, but this is my recommendations. This is my guide. I loved this content. It was so much fun for an entire year streaming this for all you guys every Wednesday, man. I was looking forward to it every Wednesday, streaming this content, making the top 10 lists for a year. It was fun. And it was so fun to go through this entire thing like a gauntlet, man. Gauntlet came back. We did it. didn't even matter. This was the real gauntlet, man. This felt like the real gauntlet. We went for 9 hours, got our first rank 5. If you don't know who it is, go check out the channel, man, because there's a video uploaded yesterday. But that's it for this video. I hope this helped. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, drop your boy a big ol' like. I took a bit of time to make and think about and put all my thoughts down onto this, right? In a very, hopefully, easy to digest fashion. I hope. Okay? But yeah, that's it for this one. I'll be seeing you around.